All right, so today we are going to cover Chef Databags. So first of all, what exactly is a databag? Right? Databag is a place where you can actually, store your user credentials. And say, for example, when you're writing a recipe and you need to provide the ID and the password for a particular thing. Say, for example, you have VMware or F5, which you need to automate. So when you're writing the recipe, you need to authenticate as well, right? So as part of the authentication process, you either need to provide the user ID and password, or you need to provide the SSH key of that particular server, right? So the important thing is, if you do it in the form of the recipe, what happens is that when you write the recipe, you provide all these things in plain text format. When you upload the cookbook to the chef server, it goes in unencrypted format, right? So that transfer happens in not a very secure manner, right? Similarly, when the node is being, once the bootstrap is done, when the node is being converging, when it syncs the cookbook from the chef server, so it downloads those cookbooks from the server, right? So along with those cookbooks and recipes, you have the credentials again transferring over the internet or over the network in plain text format, which again is not exactly a very desired way, right, to do things. So the agenda is to understand the create a cookbook, which will create a user on the nodes. We'll see how we do that. Then we will see one by one how we use the databags and all those things, how we work with that, right? So let's just go ahead with the practice session. What happens is you create a cookbook that will generate a user on a system. Okay, so you create the cookbook that generates the user, apply the cookbook to the node, and proceed. The first thing is we'll simply create a user cookbook, and let's just do that immediately on the workstation. So we are here, right? So we'll create my cookbook, create user, right? We'll create new user, and let's use the same format. What we can ignore this one. So now we do, as you know, that we need to update the default recipe, right? Whatever we want to do. So what we do, we write, we edit the recipe directly. So we go to cookbooks, and the book name is user. We go to recipe folder, and we do the default.rb, right? Once we come here, user, let's keep the same one. This is one of the developers, guys, who writes so many scripts on. This is one of the chef developers, Franklin Weber, who has got a lot of webinars, and he does a lot of presentations with regards to chef programming.
Okay.
So this is one of his presentations about this one, chef Databags. So as you can see, we are when we in this recipe, user is the resource. The user is the resource which we are using. Okay, this one is the resource, and this is the name of the file. So in our case, we are using this user name to be created. For any user, we can give comment. If you have created a user in Linux, you know what I'm talking about, right? Then UID is the unique identifier to identify the user. Typically, we give it anything above than 500, right? Less than 500 is always a system user ID, the system IDs which are created by the Linux machine, by the OS. So when we are creating a UID, we give always above 500. So in our case, we are using 2000. It should not be a problem at all. And for any user, we need to define a password also, right? So what we will do now.
Hello, Sharik.
Hi, Nani. Where were you, man?
Actually, I'm in New Jersey.
So I just connected with my mobile.
Okay.
Can you please record the session so that I can?
I'm recording it, so no worries. I'll be sending you the link. No issues.
Okay. Can you please share today or tomorrow so that
Yes, yes, I'll do that.
I can go with it? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you,
You'll
Sharik.
be
I will
connecting
leave
or
now. Okay.
you'll be dropping off.
No, yeah, I'm going to leave now because I'm
Okay, fine.
using just mobile data. I was outside. Okay.
Sure, sure, no problem. Anyways, I'll
Okay,
send you.
sure.
No problem. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, thanks. Bye. All right, so guys, as you can see, I have written the whole recipe and user resource I'm creating. This is the user name I'm creating, and which should be the home folder, what should be the shell. So typical, this is a typical way to create a user. These are the parameters you pass when you create a user, right, in Linux. Once everything is done, once the recipe is updated, I'm just editing it. And, right. So I just need to make sure that it is there. Yes, it is there. Right. So recipe we have already written. So I think now you understand. We just need to upload this. So all right. So let's open one more machine for the GitLab one or GitLab two, any one of them, so that we can see that it is working. Hmm. While this comes up, let's just do the cookbook upload and user. Right. This should be uploading my recipe. Okay. All right. So as you can see, it is uploading the upload part is done. In fact, now if we go to our system, we should be able to see that, right? API.chef.io. I think by now you guys should be comfortable with these things, right? Server and workstation and node, all these things should be familiar to you now.
Yeah, they are understandable now, finally.
That's a good thing. Okay, so we were checking the policy, right? Within policy, you will have the cookbooks and user is there, right? As you can see now. And let's just see the content also. The content should be there. Yes, it is. Right. So we have written the cookbook. We have uploaded the cookbook. Now is the time to um, make that take effect on the workstation. So what we will do, if you remember, we need to change the run list, right? Update the run list. So go to a node, knife. This one we are updating, right? Okay. So SSH and GitLab one is the one, right, on which we're working. So let's come here. As of now, it has got Apache in the run list. What we will do, we will edit the run list. We'll let the Apache be there because anyways it won't make a difference. What we will do, we'll use add user as well, okay? And let's save the run list. Now we go to the machine. Sudo chef client, right guys? So before that, let me show you. We IDF Weber. This is the user ID we are creating, right? So as of now, there is no such user, right? Let's do a sudo chef client. Let's So as you can see on screen, there is nothing to be done in terms of the Apache recipe. So obviously everything is up to date. So that is why it is giving you all these messages, right? Right. So everything's up to date with regards to the Apache web server, the Apache recipe. But we have added a new recipe named user in here. This is supposed to create the user. So this is, as you can see, it is in green. So that means that it has taken some action. Now, if all has gone well, we just need to run the same command again, idf weber. And as you can see, the ID is created now with the UID of 2000, right? This is what we had given. And if you remember, the password which we had given was, it was password, right? Which is given. Yeah. So what I will do, let's just check it out again. What we'll do, let's do, currently we are vagrant, right? So we will try to do sudo su, which is switch user, and f weber. So let's see if that password works or not.
Password PA.
At the rate it was, right?
At the rate, yeah.
Let's try it again. P at the rate SSW0RT. I think that's the one, if I'm not wrong.
No, O is a 0, I think.
Yeah, that's what I tried. Let me just check in the recipe. Should be showing over here, right? I come over here, and as you can see, whatever you write in the recipe, it's how easy it is to be checked by anyone, right? Yeah, that should be correct. Looks like it's not correct only. Let's copy this. Let's try this. At the rate, looks like the user might have locked. So no worries. We'll check that later. But the important thing is that ID has been created with a specific password. If for some reason that password is not working, and somehow I'm not able to recollect the command to check the locked part of it. But
Can we create another one?
Sorry?
Can we create another one?
Yes, we can actually do that. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's just change the recipe a little bit. Let's keep
it
the same. So what we will do, cat API, and we will, instead of f weber, we'll use, let's use sk12 here. Right, let's create my ID over there. Let's make
because the word is 0, I think.
Right, and let's make it absolutely simple. Something like this, right? And yeah, this will create problem because we already have this user, so we will make it 2222, right? And so I think, yeah, we have changed everything. That looks good. So let's come out of it. Let's nice upload.
Sharak, in any recipe which is repeating, it will ignore automatically if it's the same.
It will what? I'm sorry.
Is it going to ignore it?
No, your voice was breaking. Can you say again?
If any recipe repeated in the cookbook, I mean, which is already there in the client machine, then the machine will ignore it, or?
Yes, yes. No, it's not called ignored. If you remember, we spoke about the idempotence concept, right? So it will not ignore it. See, we are giving instructions to the chef, right? So what will happen? It will check whether the system is already in desired state or not. So in this case, it will see whether this user is already created or not. If it is not created, it will create it. If not, it will give you that message that it is up to date. If you remember, let me just scroll up and not this one, this workstation, right? We had the, yeah, this is a node. So if you come over here, yeah, look at this part. So we have two recipes, Apache and user. So what is happening here? Apache, everything is already done. If you remember, we spoke about that converge option, right? Where it converges, it executes all the changes. So it will first create a list of those resources and actions, right? In here, it has got a list of 4 resources and actions, and each one of them is already taken place. Each of them is already updated, right? Apache 2 is already installed, service is already enabled, service is already started, and this cookbook file is already present. Okay, so it's not ignoring, rather it is checking and making sure that things are present. All right, and since this one was not there already, this has taken action. So in our case, we'll do that once again because the cookbook has been uploaded. So let's just run that once again. And once again, sudo chef client, that's all we need, right? Yeah, so as you can see on a screen, you have this run list which contains Apache and user. So now it is synchronizing the cookbook. Apache, it doesn't need to do anything because we have not changed. User, it will upload, download, right? And then as you can see, Apache again, once again, nothing to be done, but a new user named SK12K has to be created. Right? So now if we do, let's check ID SK12K, but the UI data has been created, that is what we have given. Now if we do SU-SK12K, ask for the password 1, 2, 3. Am I giving the command wrong? Is something wrong with the command or what?
What?
Okay, SK12K. Password 2, 3. Okay, let's do one thing.
How is that possible?
Let's do. Let's see if that is the case. Okay, so successfully. Okay.
How on earth is that possible?
Yeah, strange actually. Anyways, we'll continue with that. I'll check it out later on after the class what was wrong with this one. So probably we are missing something silly here. But that is not important. Important thing is that our recipe is working fine. Something is wrong with the something somewhere is not happening correctly. Probably I'm doing some silly mistake, guys. No worries on that part.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine working in?
Yeah.
Can you imagine working in a well-established company and you have to create a user? After creating this user and setting up a password, they can't log in. Be a bit of embarrassment.
Yeah. No, but don't worry, that won't happen because once we write the cookbook, we make sure we test it, and we all do all these kind of test runs before you actually send it to the production environment. So that is why tests are for, right? So
yeah.
All right. So see, the idea is that as you can see, right, we anybody who has access to Chef server can actually come over there and see, right, what is happening. You just need to. You can go to the policy. You can open the default recipe, and you can see the details, right? This is not exactly a very secure way. And as I told, when you transfer things from one location to another, when the cookbook is being uploaded from your workstation to Chef server, and from Chef server to the node on which you want to apply the policies, all this transaction is happening in a very insecure manner, which is not exactly the desired way, right? There should be some kind of mechanism. So that mechanism is provided in the form of Chef Databags, right? So what are the implications? the moment you saw, right? See, this is the place this key will go to. So you have a cookbook which contains your going to the each and every node, right? Not only this.
Your voice went for like a couple of seconds. We couldn't get that part.
Yeah, so this is the implications. What we are discussing now is what is happening exactly right now, right? You created a cookbook on your workstation, right? So this is the place where you created a cookbook on the workstation. It contains the key, right? It can be the password or it can be the SSH key, any which ways. So what you're doing, you're transferring it to the chef server. From the chef server, it can go to the any of the nodes, right? Any of the nodes which has got the run list. In their run list, the user that cookbook mentioned, it will go to that particular node, right? And in completely insecure way. Same way, suppose you publish your cookbook or your recipe onto Chef Supermarket. In that case, it is available for the whole world to be seen. Same goes with GitHub. Suppose you are synchronizing your cookbooks and your chef recipes on GitHub with so many other users. So your recipe, along with your recipe, your ID and the password is open to anyone, right? So this is not exactly a good way, right? Not only that, any other workstations, suppose you have a workstation and in your country there are 4 or 5 people working, every workstation has access to that, right? So you can see how insecure it is, right? So because of all these reasons, you cannot store sensitive information inside cookbooks. You cannot store sensitive data inside a cookbook, right? Storing a password or any other secrets within a cookbook, right? So cookbooks are not exactly a good place to keep your credentials, your user IDs, your passwords, and all those things, right? That is where the Databags come into picture. So what happens? Databags actually they are the variables. You can think of them as a global variable. If you see that example of attributes, attributes are your local variables which are accessible within the cookbooks, right? But databag can be accessed from outside. This is not dependent on a specific cookbook, right, or on a specific recipe. You can actually create databags and you can call it from anywhere. And the standard format of a databag is in a JSON format. As you can see, there will be a key value pair, which I think we have seen before also. So JSON format, if you're not seeing, just check it out on Google. You will find more information. Okay, so what happens is JSON format. Just see, this is actually a very common format now to be worked along with this is a very good alternate for XML format. Okay. Earlier, XML was the standard format. It still is still used at so many places and still very useful. But JSON provides a very good alternative in the form of to the XML format. Right. So yeah, this is what happens, and you can save in a typical JSON format in a key value pair. You just check out on Google, you will come to know more about the JSON format. It's a key, there will be a key and there will be a value. So for example, in here, name is the key, ID is the key, this value will be the value. So name is the key, Bobo T Clown is the value, costume is key, big shoes, red nose is value, like that. So what we do is in here, what we do is we create, what we do instead of writing those things in the recipe, we actually move the password to a databag. Right? How do we do that? Let's just see. So we need to create a databag now. So we go to the workstation again. For that, I databag list. This command actually gives you any existing databags on your machine. So we already have this one. What we will do, I think we will use process, right? So let's create knife data bag create password. Right. So as you can see on the screen, we have created a data bag. Let's just data bag list. Right. So this should give you the list. Right. So we have these two passwords now. So what we will do, we will come over here. Yeah. And then we create a file. So we are currently inside the chef repo. What we will do, we'll create this one, cookbooks, user, sk12k.json. Right. And this is how you create a right. And if you see here, every key value pair will be separated by a comma except the last one. This is the format how you do anything inside this JSON files. Okay, so we'll keep this simple. Okay. Right. Once that is done, we need to pass that value to the data bag which we have created. Currently, the data bag which we created, this one, user underscore password, this is actually empty at the moment. There is no value inside this one. What we will do, we will go inside, we will knife data bag from file user underscore password, and we'll give the location of that file. So cookbooks user.json. This is how you give the path, right? Okay, so data bag item, if you see, has been updated. What we do now, knife data bag show user underscore password. Let's see if we get this. What do we see? Right. So we have only sk12k. Now, this is giving me the list of the users, right? Now, what I do is sk12k, if I give for a specific item, the first command which I gave is giving me the name of the this data bag item. The second one, if I'm going inside that item, so it's giving me the detail of that particular item. Okay. So as you can see, this is what we had given: the username, the user ID, and the password. Right. So yeah. So what we are doing now, we are creating two variables. Let's see. What we will do now is we will do a vi cookbooks user recipe default.id. I'm going to make a small change here. So what we are going here. So we will do sk12k. This is a variable actually. right? So we will define this variable equal to data underscore bag underscore item, and this is how you call a specific item. Okay, so this is first you save the item. Okay, password. You need to type this, comma. Once again, I'll give this item as has given 2k, and I close the bracket. So this is how you load the data bag item on your inside on your recipe. Okay, once that is done, what we are going to do, we will remove this line. We will not put the direct password. Instead, what we are doing is we are calling that item. Okay, so first we need to mention as, remove this part. So we are mentioning as sk1k underscore pass, which is this value, this variable, and within this variable we are calling, we just need the password. So I need to mention just the password. Okay, so and end. So once that is done, save it out, right? And yes, of course, we need to cookbook upload user. So this is done, and yeah, so next the process will remain the same because we're not changing any password. So there will not be any new output. When you run the sudo chef client, it will update the same thing, right? The password will remain the same. So now in this scenario, what happens? You have a data bag. It goes to the chef server because when you upload, the data bag also goes, right? When you give that command, knife data bag create from file, you give that command, right? So it uploads, it creates the data bag on the chef server. And from the chef server, it goes to each and every node and each and every workstation, right? So whichever node has this particular cookbook in their run list, it will go to those nodes. And whichever workstation, if you have multiple workstations, multiple developers, everybody will have access to that data. But still, it's a little better than having your keys on your instead of recipes, it can be on your database, but still it's not exactly very secure, right? It's just a little better than the previous ones. It's still available to every node, and it is available to all the workstations that have client keys. So basically, all the connected chef ecosystem, it will have access to these particular nodes. They can check out the password, right? So we had the password in the recipe, but then we moved the password to the data bag. Now the third step, it's even more secure, is to encrypt the data bag. Okay. So what happens in that? Let's just check it out. When you do that, so what is happening? We go ahead and encrypt the data bag items. So when we do encryption, as you're aware, in SSH key value pair, what happens? You encrypt the data, whichever you want to encrypt, and then you pass on the public key to the specific machines, which whichever machine will have that key, only those will be able to decrypt that data, right? So this is again a typical Linux command for OpenSSL, which actually is to create a secret key for encrypting. So typically what we are doing is we are actually creating this SSH key, and this key you will save somewhere on your current location. From there, you will check it out, right? When you come over here, when you try to see the data, you will not be able to see actually because you don't have the key. But when you show what you need to do, this screen, you will not be able to see the password. If you see here, the password is not visible, okay, because you have not given the command. So knife databag show user password will only tell you that it is encrypted, and this kind of gibberish key it will give you. However, if you come over here and if you give the secret key location, the secret file location where you have the key stored, it will actually decrypt the password for you and it will give you the actual value, as you can see here on the screen. Okay, so this is the typical example of how the key value pair works. How the public key, private key methodology works. This is the typical SSH based encryption, what we're using here. Right? So the same thing, once again, the recipe will not be needed to change. What we need to do is we just keep the copy the secret key on the node. So this has to be moved to the node, right? So that is the important part here. From the normal data bag to the encrypted data bag, only thing which changes is that you copy the secret key onto the node as well. Okay, so once you do that, you will be able to run the sudo chef client and it will work absolutely fine. Once you copy this thing, if you see here, the secret key, you copy it to the node, which is where you move it to the node. Okay? Inside this location, encrypted data bag secret. This is the default location for the encryption keys. Okay. Once you do that, you just need to run sudo chef client again, and the changes will take effect. Important thing is password is not changed. Password still remains the same. So there will not be any visible change in your this one. So that is why I'm not going ahead with the coding part. Let's understand the important point here. The point is what we have done. We had this password inside our recipe directly in plain text format. What we did was we removed the databags. Now databag again, it was in plain text format, so we moved it. We encrypted that value so that whichever node has got the key, only those nodes will be able to see the keys, right? So in here now, if you see in this diagram, workstation has that key, and from the workstation to whichever node you pass on the keys to, only those nodes will have access to the database item, right? So for example, in this case, we have 3 nodes. If we copy these keys to the node, only those keys will be able to access those database items, right? So things are fine. It's actually much more secure than we initially had, because unless we pass on the keys, nobody will be able to see our data. But there is a small problem. What happens is you will be now responsible for distributing this key to the appropriate users and pieces of infrastructure, right? So what happens is this again invites a security issues, right? For example, suppose we have this workstation example. So this is my workstation, and this is another user's workstation, right? So I have given the key, the person was working here, and I have given the key to the user, and now he has access to all my nodes, and he can see my encryption. The passwords and all those credentials, right? Suppose this person leaves the company. He has access. He has a secret key, right? So, and I'm not really sure if I can get the key back from him. So, what option do I have is to change my key and again pass that key to all the nodes once again, right? So that is again an unnecessary headache for me, right? So what happens is the next step. So we have this, it is security-wise, that's not a problem. That's encrypted databags. The problem is with the management part of it, right? You need to manage the keys now. That is the important part. The Chef has come up with a new thing called Chef Vault. Not exactly new, it's pretty old, already like almost a year now when this was first started. Concept is similar. Concept is not exactly very different. But what happens is, in case of if I I'll leave that to you guys to practice this part. I just want to emphasize on the important part here. Concept. What happens is, it actually, in our case, let me just, yeah. So this is what I wanted to show you guys. what happens is, in previous example, when we encrypted the chef, the data bag encryption when it took place, it created a single key which we had to distribute to all the workstations. In case of Chef Vault, what happens? Each username and node combination will have a different public key. Okay, so this key will remain the same. All the keys will be different. So everybody has got a different key here, right? So what I need to do, the important point, you don't need to manage or something. Whatever you mention over here, they will be there, and you don't need to kind of copy the codes. You just need to mention the list of. It'll go to all the nodes and create this key. Important point is this workstation you have, right? Somebody else is using this workstation and it has got its own key, right? Which is a separate public key for this workstation. In future, if the person leaves the company, you just need to delete this key, remove the access for this particular key. If you do that, you don't need to worry about these ones, the public keys over here, right? You just keep it here and just delete this particular key and things will work fine. You don't need to worry about the other people's keys and other public keys inside Encrypted. You don't need to just regenerate a key and again transfer it to each and every machine. You don't need to do that. Right? That's how that's how we kind of keep it the most possible secure method of sharing the credentials. So in a nutshell, Chef Databag, they are used to pass the credentials whenever you need them to be passed in the most secure and most feasible manner, right? It can be encrypted Chef Databags and it can be a Chef Databag plus Chef Vault combination, which we just saw. Okay, so it might be a little complicated for now, especially the last part, which is Chef Vault and Chef Encrypted Databags. So you need to practice a little more, go through the slides once again, and just follow along with the example. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, what we did was let's just reiterate what we have done. We have created the cookbook, which was in the most insecure manner. Then we moved the password from the recipe to the database, right? We called that password value from the database. Then we encrypted that database values so that only the node and the workstation which has the key will be able to decrypt it, right? And then we move one step ahead and encrypted data values with the Chef Vault, wherein what happens, the main difference is encrypted database will have only a single key, one single public key, which is passed on to all the nodes and workstations. In case of Chef Vault, you have a public key for each node or each workstation, right? So if you delete access for a particular workstation or a particular node, it does not affect the other nodes or workstations, right? That is the major difference between encrypted databags and normal encryption of databags and encrypted databags with the Chef Vault methodology. Right. So, and these are some of the places where you have the information about Chef databags and the presentations. In fact, this particular presentation I have actually taken from the Chef website. I'll just show you. If you have any confusion, you can just refer to that particular place directly, which is, in fact, not only this, it has got, I think, I'm not sure if I told you guys. Have I told you about Chef webinars? Did I tell you guys about this?
Webinars, no.
No, okay. So this is the place, chef.io/webinars, you need to go. Okay. Once you come here, you have a lot of information. Okay, they have this recorded sessions. Okay, whenever they record something new, whenever they come up with something new, they actually, what they do is they publish it over here. They have a webinar and then they give you the recorded sessions which you can refer to. So as you can see here, you have a long list of things, right? You can just refer to each one of them, and all of them, they each one of them actually refer to one specific topic. But once you are comfortable with Chef a little more, once you're comfortable with uploading cookbooks and the basic stuff in Chef server, then you can definitely come here and check things, right? And the one which covers the data bag items actually is, let me just check. This one, Managing Secrets with Chef. This is the the presentation or webinar which talks about this data bag item details in this manner. Okay, right? So whenever you have time, if you have any doubts, just go through this webinar once again and you will have all your doubts cleared. Okay. So not only that, when you have time, just check. You have a lot of very good information about Chef over here. Okay, a lot of things.
Okay.
Just check them one by one. Not now. Maybe you can see it one by one. You can go and check whenever you. Each webinar is typically between 45 minutes to 1 hour, or just a little more than 1 hour. The standard time is like 50 to 60 minutes. That's the standard time of each webinar. So it is highly recommended. You will get a lot of information over here about each and every topic. So whenever you have time, as you can see, 46 sessions are recorded and upcoming are 5. So you can register and you can see it directly. In fact, this is the new product. We just saw Chef Vault. Now it has come at HashiCorp Vault as well. And HashiCorp is the company which has created Vagrant, which we covered initially, right? The labs which you have created. The Vagrant, it's the same company which has, which is HashiCorp, owned by Mitchell Hashimoto, is the developer and founder of Vagrant, right? So that's about Chef Databags, guys. If you have any other questions, you can go ahead and ask me.